We welcome to the Houston Sports Talk Randy Waldrum. He's the first coach of the brand new women's professional soccer team, the Houston Dash. Their first game just around the corner, April 12th at BBVA Compass Stadium. Randy came here after 15 seasons as the head coach of Notre Dame's women's program, where he won 2 NCAA championships, 12 Big East titles, and coached 28 All-Americans. He's the winningest all-time coach at Tulsa University and started up the Baylor women's program. His combined total of 399 victories is 5th most in Division I women's soccer. Not a bad resume, Coach, but I'm imagining putting together a team in 3 months of professional soccer teams has just got to be crazy. How do you go about building a team from scratch?
That's a great question. I tell you what, it's it's been a challenge. It's very similar in some ways. When I started the program at Baylor, I think I was hired in February. And, signing date was a month away. And, we had, 3 or 4 months to get a team put into place. And this one's even at a quicker pace than that. So, it's been a lot of catch up for me. I've spent, as you mentioned in the beginning there, I've spent so many years in the college game that I knew a lot of the players in the league, certainly. I've coached quite a few of the players as the coach of our women's U23 national team. And so I was relatively familiar with most of the players in the league, but not all of them. So as soon as I got the job in, just maybe January, when I took the job in January, it was just a lot of hours each day trying to catch up. We had the upcoming expansion draft mid-January, and then a week later we had the college draft at our coaches convention. So I had a lot of work to do to just catch up to speed on the players, to find out who was made available by the other teams for us to pick up in the expansion draft. So it's been a whirlwind. It seems like since mid-January it's been nonstop. I told somebody yesterday there's just not enough hours in the day for me to be getting everything done, to be honest with you.
Well, you'd become a fixture at Notre Dame, and I'm sure it would have been easy just to stay there and stay the course. I know you're a native Texan, so you have family here. Was that part of the reason for coming back, and what made you take on this type of challenge?
Yeah, I had a lot of people probably were shocked by that decision because I had, I think, arguably one of the top 2 or 3 jobs in the country. And we had a lot of success while I was there at Notre Dame. And you're right, I certainly had envisioned probably just retiring there and then coming back to Texas to live after I finished coaching. But when this opportunity came up, I think 2 things that really kind of made me have a leap of faith into this new league. And one was family, as you mentioned. I just had a new granddaughter, our first child, a grandbaby born over Christmas. And I certainly wanted to get back to see her grow up and be around her. My son and his wife, Lindsay, live up in Dallas. So that was a big part of the reason, just getting back close to family. The second reason outside of my family was the fact that, this team is going to be owned by the Dynamo. And I think the stability of the ownership group of the Dynamo and how they've operated and done business was that much more enticing. I think our franchise here in Houston and then the franchise in Portland that won the league last year, they're also owned by the MLS team up in Portland. And I think that's the way to go. I think if we can get more MLS teams owning teams, then I think this league has a chance of surviving. But I felt like, if it didn't work out and the league didn't survive, or if I didn't survive and didn't do a good enough job here, that I felt strongly enough that I've made a good enough resume after 20-something years of college coaching that I could always go back and coach at the collegiate level and do well there. So, I didn't think it was quite a big a gamble as everybody, probably out there first perceived it to be, and was probably kind of shocked that I stepped away from that kind of a job.
Coach, you were just talking about the MLS and the Houston Dynamo, and you've also spoken in the past about building a culture with the Dash like the Houston Dynamo. What is it that you most want to emulate?
Well, I think for us, we're going to be very similar. The Dynamo came here, I don't know what, 8 years or so ago, and however long ago that it was, and kind of had to start, fresh here in a new city, and that's certainly what we're doing here. And I think the thing that I've enjoyed watching over the years as I've watched the MLS and watched Houston in particular with what Dom has done there with that program is I think he's found a way to be successful with finding a core of players that are competitive and hardworking, that have great character. They're going to come in and always put in a very workmanlike performance. And it's never been a team, although it's over the years the Dynamo have had its fair share of star players. It's never been a team that's been laden with stars like you would see, a Donovan with the Galaxy or a Robbie Keane or, those kind of, a Thierry Henry in New York or, it's just been a team that's kind of set a standard, set its core values, and really just gone after it. And because of that, they've been able to establish, what I consider as excellence. And to me, excellence kind of supersedes success. I think a lot of teams can be successful for a year. But I think to me, excellence kind of exudes success over time. And that's what Dom's been able to do. And we want to try to do the same thing here with the Dash. Our fans need to realize we're a year behind, everybody else in the league. And we weren't around last year when the league allocated, its first round of national team players. So we didn't get an Alex Morgan, and we didn't get an Abby Wambach or a Shannon Box or Carly Lloyd or those big name U.S. players that the other teams got last year. So our allocated players, although I'm really happy with them, we got Megan Klingenberg and Whitney Ingen. They're both going to be fantastic players, and I think future stars of our women's national team. But we weren't in the loop, when other teams kind of got to load their teams up. Many of the teams have 3 or 4 of the U.S. players on their roster. We're the expansion team. We don't have that. So it's going to be important to us that we just can get a core of hardworking, disciplined players that are competitive, that, have this character that I talked about with the Dynamo, and that just believe in each other. And it's going to genuinely have to be more of a team effort here in these first few years until we really build the program, And so that's why I've always kind of said that we want to try to build this culture, is because, a lot of our players that we got through the expansion draft, although they're good players and I'm really happy with what we got, they're still players that other teams, for whatever reason, didn't protect. And therefore we were able to get them. So we're kind of building our roster from a year behind. And, and so I think those other factors are going to have to play in really strong into the makeup of this team this year.
Well, you mentioned Whitney, a U.S. national team member, was one of the players that you got. She's one of your bigger names. Tell me about the couple of players that fans can really get excited about, and maybe your style of play that you guys might have.
Yeah, you know what? I'm a really attacking-oriented coach. I feel like we're still trying to promote the women's game in this country, and not only the women's game, but just the game of soccer in general in this country. And I think, the average fan that's not been brought up around soccer, they've been brought up with basketball or football. It's the U.S. way. Let's score goals, or let's create touchdowns, or, they want to see points and stats. And whereas I can sit back and appreciate that 0-0 game if it's a well-played game, a lot of fans can't do that. So I think in trying to still continue to promote the game, and plus it's just the playing style that I like, I want to be a very attack-minded team. And having said that, I think, we got Whitney Ingen, Megan Klingenberg from the U.S. team. We don't get those players here till probably late May because they're still under contract in Sweden till the end of their season. So we're going to have to get through the month of April and part of May without them. But some of the players that I think may catch, the fans' eyes that we have in here now currently are players like Brittany Bach, who played for me at Notre Dame. She's been around the league for a number of years. I think Teresa Noyola, which is one of our Mexican allocated players, who went to Stanford, was a great little player for Stanford University. She plays for the Mexican national team. I think she's going to be somebody that will catch the fans' eyes. Of course, Kalia Ohai, with her Carolina ties, and then, being related to Brian Cushing there with the Texans. She's already gotten a lot of publicity. She's a really exciting player. She's got great speed and athleticism, and she'll catch the people's eyes. And then we got a young player that's also with Mexico named Ari Romero that's played at Nebraska last year that's done really well for us so far. She's been a real pleasant surprise in preseason. And so we're gonna have a handful of players. I think a Becky Edwards is somebody to look at. I think an Ella Mazer. We've got a handful of players that I think the fans can really gravitate to.
You mentioned that Kealia Ohai coming out of the University of North Carolina, and she does have that Texans connection to linebacker Brian Cushing being sister-in-law. So he's obviously shown his support for the Dash too. So you might get a few more Texans watching. But how has she really looked so far in the preseason here, getting ready for the regular season?
Yeah, you know what? She's done well with us so far. I think one of the things is, like any young player coming out of college, there is another jump. There's another bump up to play at the pro level. And I think she's going to, spend the year figuring it out a little bit. But one thing that's going to make her be effective is this blazing speed that she has and her ability to finish goals when we get her in front of the goal. So I think she's going to create a lot. I think there's still a learning curve. She's going to have to learn to develop her game a little bit, to probably a little bit more of a physical game as well, and not just get by on her athleticism. She's going to have to be a little bit more creative and being able to hold the ball up. We refer to it as when her back's to the goal. She's really good when she can run at you using her speed, but she's also going to have to improve a little bit in playing with her back to the goal when she can't run at people. But these are all things that we'll work real hard with her in her development this year. And I think she's still going to be a key player for us this year, just with where she is. But I think she's one that's only going to get better and better. And I think she'll be a future star with our women's national team. And it might not be this upcoming World Cup in Canada in 2015, but I think that next World Cup, I think we're going to probably see Kealia in the mix for that team and be one of the better players.
You're getting a chance to do some preseason scrimmages. Wednesday, you played Rice's women's team, which you beat 4-0. And Saturday morning, March 22nd at 10 a.m., you face Texas A&M at Houston Sports Park. That game is free, open to the public for anyone who wants to check the Dash out. How much help was it to get a real scrimmage in? And I know you need to make about 5 more cuts, I think, before opening day, right?
Right, yeah. We've got a roster of 25 right now, and we need to get it down to 20 before opening day. Rice was a great exhibition. I really appreciate Nikki, their coach and their program, playing us and helping us prepare, and I think it was good for both teams. It was nice to get to play against another team instead of ourselves, which we've been doing for, a couple of weeks now in preseason. We still had some of those trialists. Some of the players are still trying to make our squad perform last night. We played those kids in the first half, and then more of our Dash players in the second half. And then Saturday morning, I think will be a real good test. A&M's got one of the better programs in the country and have been for a number of years. And G. Guerreri down there does a great job with that program. So it's going to be a real test for us because we're going to play a team, even though they're a college team and we're a pro team. We're playing a program that's very used to playing with each other, and it's been, preparing for a long time together, and we're still trying to throw some players together after a week or so of training. And so it should be a really, really good test. I'm looking forward to it. We're actually going to play them twice. We'll play them this Saturday, and then we'll play them again in a couple of weeks at the tail end of preseason. So it'll be a good measuring stick to see how far we've come along against them in both of these games coming up. But public was great coming out Wednesday, and we hope some fans get out there again Saturday morning, come out and meet the girls, and see a little bit of soccer Saturday morning as well.
Well, let's talk about your opener. You play the defending champion Portland Thorns Saturday night, April 12th. And one of the exciting parts about that night is U.S. national team star Alex Morgan plays for Portland, so fans have a chance to see her. As some might know, she has an interesting connection locally. She just got engaged to Dynamo midfielder Servando Carrasco about 3 months ago. But, Coach, how excited should fans be to see women's professional soccer and the chance to see somebody like Morgan right out of the gate?
You know what? From a marketing standpoint, guys, I tell you, we couldn't have asked for a better draw for the opening game. I mean, if you can't market, the newness of the Dash coming out, and then also getting a chance to come out and see an Alex Morgan and a Christine Sinclair from Canada, and a Nadine Unger, which is one of the top goalkeepers in the world. They just signed her from the German national team. A litany of stars, Tobin Heath. I mean, Portland's loaded. So from that standpoint, we couldn't be more excited to open up, and it should be a great day for the fans to come out and not only support the Dash, but to support all the national team players that will be in that game. Now, I can also tell you from a coaching standpoint, I almost wish we'd have found somebody else to open with, because Portland's the defending champions, and here we are, the expansion team, and that pairing is a tough one to take right off the bat. But But like I said, really from a sales and a marketing standpoint, it's going to be a great way to open up the new season.
And I'll remind people that tickets are available for individual games. Plus, I know you guys have group packages for 4 and 5 games. Keep in mind that there are only 12 home games, so call 713-276-GOAL for tickets. All the games are at BBVA Compass, so you guys have a great venue. The home of the Dynamo is now the home of the Dash as well. Before I let you go, Coach, what's been the best part about being back in Texas on a regular basis? Is there a food or anything that you've missed being up north?
Two things outside of soccer that's really been great being back. One is I'm not in 4 feet of snow like I was in South Bend when I came down here a couple of weeks ago. And the other one is I love Mexican food. So they really didn't have good Mexican food up in South Bend. So seems like I've been eating Mexican food all the time since I've been back. So those two things have been great to get back home to.
I had a feeling those might be the answers. Well, you can follow Coach Waldrum at Coach Waldrum on Twitter. Pretty easy. The Houston Dash, also easy to find on Twitter. It's been our pleasure to have you on Houston Sports Talk. Brand new Houston Dash head coach Randy Waldrum. Thank you so much for joining us, Coach. Best of luck to you in the Dash.
Thank you guys for having me, and happy to join you anytime. So I really appreciate what you do for us. Thank you so much.